This is Wednesday, May 31st. There are 49 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Welcome to SD Concast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE go.
Oh my god, I love LiveJournal, and my LiveJournal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, Refuse 73. I love the color scheme in pink and purple.
Good evening. I am your host, James Riley. Joining me on the podcast tonight is Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Also joining us, Legion of Sand, Robert Warners.
Hey, everyone.
And our special guests tonight are Andy Babacht. Did I say that right?
You said it very American. So that works. That works.
And Sean Richter from themarvelreport.com.
What's up, Internet?
All right, so we'll be discussing cosplay, community involvement, covering the world of heroes, Phoenix Comic-Con, and we'll also be talking about the latest SDCC news in a bit. But first, we'll chat with Andy and Sean, and to tweet questions at them or us, you can use the hashtag SDConcast. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con, or you can ask your questions in the YouTube live chat that is available. And so, Carrie, why don't you kick us off?
Well, before we get too far into this, for the people who don't know, Andy and Sean, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do and the Marvel Report and all that?
Well, Spirit of Vengeance first.
Spirit of Vengeance first? Is that what you said? That's me. Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Let me take this thing off. It's really cool looking, but there, that's better. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
I got hat here. Hi, I'm Sean Richter. I live in San Diego, California. This year will be my 9th San Diego Comic-Con. I go to every con possible in Southern California. I'm a big cosplayer. I'm a huge fan of San Diego Comic-Con. Huge fan of anything and everything Marvel related, and a big cosplayer. And I'm Gavin's dad also.
And I'm Andy Babacht. Also, I go by just Andy B on like social media, just so that people don't have to like, how do you pronounce his name? How do you pronounce his last name? I do the Marvel with Sean. I founded it with our mutual friend Lauren Galloway, and I also write for Heroic Hollywood. I host a Flash podcast, and I help run a bunch of the DC TV related podcasts on the DC Podcast Network. So, and I have been going to Comic-Con since 2012. Yeah, since 2012. I started as a fan, and then I think the year after that, or the year after that, I started going as press. So it's Comic-Con is not just like vacation; it's also like while I'm working too. But also, it's like utopia for me every July. So I don't sadly go to a lot of conventions because of financial reasons. But San Diego Comic-Con is always like I gotta go, or like, it's like I'm not even gonna bother with the rest of the year because I need like that 4 or 5 days of like lines and penguin walking and all that stuff, and all the fun stuff that they do at Comic-Con. So yeah.
Well, I know you're both very busy people. But let's talk a little bit about what's probably the elephant in the room in the con community this last week. Because as I think most of us know, Phoenix Comic-Con was last weekend, and Robert, as I think you're the only one here who actually went to Phoenix, why don't you recap a little bit about what happened?
Okay, so on Thursday afternoon, someone had gotten to the convention who had several guns and a knife on him. And it later came out that he was there to, start some trouble with Jason David Frank, who's better known as the Green Power Ranger, and he was going to shoot cops, and it was just this whole crazy story about this situation. And because of that, the Phoenix Police Department and Phoenix Comic-Con decided to ban all prop weapons. Anything from foam swords to lightsabers to prop guns, they just banned it all. And by the time Saturday had rolled around, by the time Friday had gotten there, most everyone had kind of like blown up about it on the internet, of course, saying it was ridiculous and it was a knee-jerk reaction. But I'd say by Saturday, they kind of alleviated some of the ban. They say cardboard weapons were fine. Sonic screwdrivers were okay. So by Saturday, they had eased up a little bit. But any kind of prop guns, swords, shields, bows, and arrows, it was still all banned.
So, like I just said, you're the only one here who went, but Sean, you were supposed to go, right? Like you were even going to moderate a panel there, I believe, right?
I had wanted to moderate a panel, but it didn't work out. So I wasn't actually going to moderate a panel. But yeah, I mean, I literally had the car packed and ready to go. We were going to leave Friday morning, and I saw online, I don't know, this happened, what, like 2 or 3 in the afternoon on Thursday? Is that right?
Yeah, that's probably about the timeline there.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, the initial, stories on social media about a guy, all we knew initially was that a guy was caught with real guns and live ammunition, and that was all we knew. And, pretty much as soon as I saw that, I knew, there's going to be a big reaction. There has to be, and I just basically camped out on my computer for the rest of the night to see what happened. And then ultimately, I was going to be Captain America on Sunday. We were going to get photos with Neil McDonough, and on Saturday, I have a Captain Vengeance costume. It's basically Ghost Rider mixed with Captain America. And I had a shield that I made just for this convention, and we were going to get photos with Gabriel Luna. And shields were one of the things that were specifically banned on their list, which, I mean, it's hard to be Captain America without a shield. So I just decided that, number one, I couldn't really wear my costumes. Number two, I kind of had the feeling, they said they were going to limit access to the convention. They were going to check people a lot closer. And it just sounded like it was going to lead to a mess, and really long lines. Because, let's face it, it happened last minute. They had no time to react at all. The con had already started when this guy got inside with these weapons, and there was no time to react. So they did what they had to do to keep people safe. But it basically, I won't say it ruined the convention for me, but it eliminated a lot of the stuff that we were going there to do. So I decided not to go.
And I completely agree with you that it was a knee-jerk reaction. And I mean, given the limited time frame that they had, I think they made the best decision for them that they could in that moment. But if they had had a little bit more time, what would you have preferred happened with the weapons?
Well, first of all, I could go on for an hour about this whole topic, but first of all, I feel like if somebody really wants to do bad things, they're going to do them. Like this guy in particular, obviously you can't rationalize what he did because obviously something's not right with this guy. What his motives were, what his reasonings were, I have no idea. He went in there, he had every opportunity to do some really bad stuff. And here he is posting things. I think I never heard the whole story. Was he posting pictures on social media, or he was texting them to this girl? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I believe he was in contact with a friend of his or an acquaintance of what he was planning on doing.
Right. So he's going to do these bad things, but yet he's texting somebody and telling them about it. So is it one of those scenarios where he's acting like he's going to do bad stuff, but he just wants to get caught, which I know doesn't make sense. But again, you can't rationalize in any way, shape, or form what this guy did. I mean, the bottom line is, thank God nobody was hurt, including him. Obviously, it could have been so much worse than it was. As far as what I would have liked to have seen them do, the first thing is realistic looking guns. I mean, I have a number of pretty realistic looking guns, and those are the easiest things to ban. Banning all props and specifically calling out sonic screwdrivers. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous to me. And calling out cardboard weapons and foam weapons. Now, some foam weapons look pretty darn realistic. So, I think their original intent was, let's just ban everything, and then it's easier to look for people carrying things they're not supposed to have. And I think. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think if somebody wants to get a bomb in there, you get somebody that's a suicide bomber, there's a whole bunch of ways to disguise that, And the thing about weapons at a convention is, in a lot of cases, San Diego is the same way. I've talked to a number of people since this happened in Phoenix. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the weapons check at San Diego, there's one weapons check table that I think is in hall, like the Hall D entrance area, if I remember right. I'm not sure, but it's, you know, it's one table. It's kind of right in the middle of the convention center. There's so many entrances into the convention center where people could come in. And I've brought, you know, fake weapons, of course, to Comic-Con many times. And, you know, occasionally you'll run into somebody in the hallway that looks at you and goes, "Hey, is that weapons checked?" And if you say no, all they'll do is point you in the direction of the weapons check table and say, "Hey, it's over there. You need to go get it checked." And then they're on their way. You know, I've walked in the exhibit hall with weapons that weren't checked. You know, there's no way to check every single person coming in the door at a con that big to see that, you know, are they carrying something they're not supposed to, make them go to weapons check, that kind of thing. It's just really, really difficult. I'm very curious to see, you know, San Diego basically has 2 months to prepare for this. I'm really curious to see what their reaction is going to be to what happened in Phoenix.
Do you think they're going to have a reaction, or do you think it's just going to be business as usual?
I don't know how they can't have some kind of a reaction. You know, as somebody that cosplays a lot and has a lot of fake weapons in my costumes, I'm really crossing my fingers that they don't change anything. I think personally the day is coming when pretty much all of the cons ban realistic looking guns at least. I mean, if you're a police officer or security guard and there's all these people walking around with guns that look really very realistic, but they're not, they're foam, they're plastic, whatever, they're airsoft, they're Nerf guns. What do you do? You know, I mean, is it really going to take someone getting killed before something happens? You know, I really hope that they don't change the policy, but I can't say, if I was running the con, I can't say I wouldn't change it.
Well, in CCI, if I recall correctly, they kind of tried a little bit last year. Like, I believe they were having people like zip tie their weapons to their person, and I think that they kind of eased up on that after a day or two. You probably know more about this than I do, honestly.
Yeah, they did it, I think, on Thursday last year. I mean, it was ridiculous. They were having people, you know, Jedi cosplayers zip tie their lightsaber to their belt. I ran over to as someone who was interested in what was happening, I ran over to the weapons check table when I found out this was happening. And I just happened to catch three guys that were dressed as Jedi in their robes, and they had, you know, you can either have a hilt or you can have a lightsaber that's got the whole weapon basically. And they had the whole weapon, and they had to zip tie them to their belt. So they're hanging upside down, you know, banging against their leg. It was the most stupid looking thing, you know, you've ever seen. And they were so upset. And, you know, I mean, the next day they were changed, and they weren't enforcing that anymore. And then I ran into people. I ran into a couple of girls like 30 minutes later on the floor in the exhibit hall that were dressed as Loki and Thor. And Loki had a scepter and Thor had a hammer, and they were just carrying them. So I asked them, "Did you guys go to weapons check?" And they laughed and they said, "Yeah, they made us tie these to our belts. Can you imagine how stupid that is?" And I said, "Well, how come you're carrying them?" They said, "Oh, we just cut them off." You know, so then there's that.
That's funny. All right. Well, does anybody else want to chime in here with any thoughts about any of this? James, Robert, Andy?
I just want to say, like, you know, I'm very sympathetic to everyone who put in all that time and money to get their props done before the convention. But I do want to give, you know, hats off to people who kind of had fun with it. I saw a lot of people putting bananas in their gun holsters, or I think there's pictures of stormtroopers holding French bread. So people kind of had fun with it, and, you know, tried to turn a negative situation into somewhat of a positive.
I too think that the initial reaction was to the extreme, but in that situation, you have to do something immediately. And then they did kind of backtrack, and once they had time to actually think about it, they did kind of settle into a mode. And I understand that it was the police who wanted them to do it versus the con actually making all of the decisions. So some of the decisions were taken out of the convention center's hand, or the con's hand. You know, Phoenix Comic Con, it was the convention center and the police. So, I mean, there's not a lot you can do when you're told what you have to do in order to stay open. I think that some of the ancillary things that happened were both very positive and very negative. As you mentioned, the people that were having fun with making the fake guns out of bread or cardboard signs and things like that, versus the problems with the vendors who were told basically how they had to sell things and what they had to do in order to keep staying in business during the convention. And those things may have been a little heavy-handed on some sides. Until we know for sure what the whole story is, you know, we don't know. but I think they probably handled it fairly well in some respects, but also probably not as well as they could have. But again, it's a guy with a gun coming into a convention center. I mean, everybody's going to start freaking out about something. Just and as far as San Diego goes, I don't know if they're going to make a change because they do a lot that I don't think a lot of people really notice about security. And I know that they hire a massive amount of security for that convention.
Well, not only that, but they also work with a massive amount of police officers around the city. Right. They work with like a lot more organizations, I feel like, than an average convention.
Yeah. They do a lot.
And the only thing I wanted to add is I don't do the cosplay that so much. So I don't really know much of that style, but like it would be, not to get too political or anything like that, but given the gun issue today, it would be surprising if San Diego didn't do anything for this year. Hopefully they're not gonna ban anything, but I would, it would maybe be good if they maybe had an extra. Sean, you said something about down Hall D. They have like one vendor for like where they check all the weapons and so on. Maybe they could have maybe 2 or 3 ones this year, have them maybe more spread out in the convention center, so maybe people that are coming from south, they can get checked there. People that come from west, they can check there and so on. Because some people, people are flying from all over the world cosplaying, and they're building all these amazing props and costumes and so on. And it would be a shame to be told you can't walk around with these things, or you have to strap your hammer to your. Yeah, that's the way that you described the situation. It sounded so dirty. I'm like, I hammered. Yeah, I'm like, the Mjolnir should not be described like that. But I will digress. So, but I feel that would be a good compromise. Just having more vendors, like you guys said, more security and so on, because it's only for 4 days. So, but again, I would be more shocked if they don't do anything about it.
I think just one thing I want to add here before we go on, since we're kind of this, is focused more on San Diego. If I were San Diego, what I would do is I would add, like Andy just said, I would add multiple tables, maybe 3 or even 4 weapons checks throughout the the foyer area at the front of the convention center, and then I would have a number of people. I don't know how many it would take, but the thing is, nobody walks around checking people. Like once you're in the exhibit hall. You know how people used to sneak people in and out of the exhibit hall by doing the 2 badge thing, because they were able to get away with that, because once you're in the exhibit hall, nobody checks your badge. The same is true with weapons. When you're in the exhibit hall, as far as I know, and now there probably are like undercover police and all that we don't know about, which is fantastic. But as far as I know, like once you're in the exhibit hall, there's nobody walking around specifically looking at people's weapons. And I would have a team of people that their whole job is to walk back and forth through the foyer and around the exhibit hall and other parts of the convention center, and all they do is they're looking at people's weapons to make sure they're checked. And I think that would be a great way to go about it.
And it makes total sense. It's really kind of surprising that they don't do that now.
They also have access to rooms in the Marriott and the Bayfront where they could move and put one weapons check table out there, so that people have to get their weapons checked before they can even make it to the convention center. That would be another way to help spread out the people and not have everyone be all in one place with weapons at the same time.
It's true.
Do they put any stickers or anything, like something on the checked weapons to kind
it's like a neon tag, isn't it?
Yeah,
some kind of tag that's easily seen.
I don't remember what San Diego does, because I go to so many cons. Some cons they'll just put like a colored zip tie on it, like an orange or a green or a yellow zip tie. And other cons, I want to say Comic-Con has like a printed, almost like one of those wristbands that you put around that you can secure so it doesn't come off too easily. But again, I just feel like if somebody really wants to do bad stuff, they're going to get away with it. Because really, you could go in with a toy gun, get the strap on it, go outside, cut the strap off, and put it on a real gun. There's always the bad guys always seem to have ways around the procedures that the good guys make. But
right. So what it boils down to is just we'll all do the best we can, and we all have to be aware of what's going on around us.
And I think And I think, it didn't really happen in this case. I mean, in this case, the guy was sending photos to this girl who wasn't even at the con. But I think the biggest thing that we can all do is keep our eyes open and don't be oblivious to things around us. If you see somebody that's carrying a gun and you don't see a tag on it and it looks awfully real, I wouldn't confront the person, but you might want to say something, I don't know, to somebody in security, especially if they're in an area, if they're on the exhibit hall floor. You're definitely supposed to have your weapon check before you go in there. And again, here's another thing is that, the people that are at the doors, like where they are, well, I don't know, last year there were RFID readers going into the exhibit hall. And at WonderCon, they were only on the perimeter. So I don't know this year, are we going to have RFID going into the exhibit hall or only on the perimeter? I don't know. But typically, there are people at all the doors going into the exhibit hall, but they're looking for one thing, and that's a badge. They're pretty oblivious to weapons. So I would have to train those people too. Like, look, you're looking for badges, number one, but number two, you need to keep an eye on people and their weapons and make sure their weapons checked.
Right.
Well, Sean, they should just hire you, shouldn't they?
I'm available.
Well, let's change gears a little bit here and talk about something a little bit lighter, and let's talk about San Diego. So, Andy, I know you said that you've been attending since 2012. What brought you there initially?
The year before that, it was around November, December. It was the year before my graduation. I remember like my parents were always talking about like, what big, is there any big gift we can get you? And I just heard, I just seen so much about Comic-Con like that summer. I'd seen, you guys, your blog and, Englishman in San Diego, so many of these things. And I'm like, I kind of want to try and go there. So I'm like, so what do you want for your graduation? I'm like, I want to go to Comic-Con. They're like, what the hell is Comic-Con? So like 20 minutes later, yes, it took 20 minutes to explain what it was because they're like, so you just walk around? I'm like, no, it's not. Ugh. Anyway, it's like paradise for nerds. And then they said, okay, we can help you get there if you can actually get badges, because they thought like, oh, can you like buy one today? I'm like, no, there's something called a waiting room for badges. So and then once I got to Comic-Con that year, I'm like, I need to come back every year. Like there cannot be a year where I don't go, and like unless I'm like majorly sick or if I'm dead, or like, even if I'm dead, I'm probably gonna try and go haunt the place just because, I guess ghosts can do that. But it was just because I wanted to be like in a place where I have more nerds to hang around with.
And Sean, what about you? How long have you been going to the convention?
This is our 9th year in a row. So we started going. My barometer was we started going when Gavin was 3. So that's how I remember how long it's been. And as much as people think that I am your typical middle-aged dad that's got a closet full of comic books, I was not into this stuff at all when Gavin was born. And we kind of got into it together when he was like 2 or 3. We started watching, all of the cartoon superhero shows on TV. And, you can't live in San Diego and not know anything about Comic-Con. So we had heard about it and seen stuff on the news about it and that kind of stuff. And that year we just decided, hey, let's check it out. And it's funny to think back on it now, because I think it was like about a month before San Diego Comic-Con, we just went and bought a Sunday badge because you could do that. And we went on Sunday only. And I'll never forget, we walked up to the sales pavilion to get our badges on Sunday morning. And we got our badges and we turned to go in where the bags and the programs are handed out. And just off to the left, there was one little table with a little sign that said, badges for next year. And we walked over there, and in about 90 seconds, we had Sunday badges for the following year. And, that was the last time that will ever happen. So every year since then, it's gotten, increasingly more difficult to get badges. But we love it. Like I said, we go to there's so many cons in Southern California, big and small and in between. And I love them all for different reasons. The small ones are great because they're more personable and you run into all your friends. But I love San Diego to death. I'm just glad it's the only one that's as big as it is.
Cool. So, Andy, what brought you to found the Marvel Report? What led to that?
Oh, that was kind of, it was funny how that came together, because that summer I just finished doing I concluded the Shield project I was doing back then, because it was the summer leading up to the premiere of The Flash, and I was busy, still doing The Flash podcast season 0. So I kind of felt, I don't know if I'm going to have time for both. As much as I love Age of Shield, I I also love the Flash. So I decided to just put that on the you know behind me. But I had to update my Twitter handle to something better. So I was like trying to oh, I don't have to do like a website, but just try to come up with a Twitter name. And then I was like Marvel News, Marvel like Marvel Alert, whatever. Then I eventually came. Marvel Report sounds kind of good. So I had one of my graphic designers just like, "Can you make a logo? Like, see if it looks good." He's like then 2 minutes later he had something done, or like a day later maybe. And then in the fall, me and Lauren, like I was talking about her, like if she wanted to, because I love she's a huge Marvel fan. I went to ask her, do you want to post stuff from the account or whatever? Then we started talking about doing a website, and we both we knew Sean, and we knew he had a huge huge fan for Marvel stuff, with all the conventions. So we reached out to him like, do you kind of want to like oversee our convention stuff, cosplay stuff, and event stuff? Like he's pretty much like our events manager. Like we could not survive doing all these events without him. So and then we started finding writers, and we just grew and grew, and 2 years later here we are, and it's been it's been amazing. So it was kind of like it was never planned, but it was like one of those like nice accidents. But I mean in a very good way. Like accident usually means bad, but in this case it was like it was a nice surprise. Surprise, there we go. I can use surprise better instead of accident. So so it was never planned, but it just it came to life on its own in some ways.
Very cool. So Andy mentioned that Sean, you could kind of have this thing going with, and it's the thing of cosplay with you and Gavin. So how'd you get into the cosplaying? I mean, I know that you said that you kind of just grew into this after Gavin was born, but what got you into the cosplaying part of it?
I don't really remember why we cosplayed for the first time, but I do know that the first time either of us cosplayed was at WonderCon 4 years ago, 2013. And as much as everyone knows I love Captain America, again, that is also a recent love affair. It's not like I've loved him all my life, because again, I wasn't into this stuff when I was younger. But we have been going to cons for a number of years already, and I think when somebody goes to their first con of any size, a small, medium, or something as crazy as San Diego, there's so much cosplay nowadays. It's so popular. It's so prevalent at cons. I think that's the thing that really blows you away. Is I think you don't realize until you go and see this stuff in person just how amazing it is and how talented these people are. So we have been going for a number of years. And I was throwing Gavin in front of people, when he was like 5. Oh, there's a guy in a really realistic looking Predator costume. Gavin, go take a picture. And he's like, he's scared to death of this Predator looking thing. But we decided to throw him in a Captain America costume. I bought a metal army helmet at the Army Surplus store, painted it blue and white, bought a metal shield that was darn near as tall as he was at the time, and paraded him around at WonderCon, and he loved it, and I loved it, and everybody wanted photos with him. And then so that was at WonderCon at the end of March, beginning of April, whatever it was. So then at San Diego, I was Captain America and he was Coulson, and that's where the whole Kid Coulson thing was born. So,
do you have a favorite cosplay that you two have done?
Like favorite pair up of the two of us together?
Either, like one that you've done together. You tell me.
Well, my favorite of my own is my Mandalorian Captain America mashup, because that's my own creation, and that one has gotten the most reaction out of people. You guys know me. We try to do costumes that go together. I have a lot of Captain America costumes. He's got a bunch that go with Cap, like Dum Dum Dugan and Coulson and Hawkeye and Winter Soldier, that kind of stuff. I kind of like doing World War II, like they call it Rescue Cap, the brown leather jacket he wore when he rescued all the prisoners in First Avenger, and Gavin in his Dum Dum Dugan outfit, because Dum Dum Dugan, I'm a huge fan of that character, and it's a character that you don't see cosplayed very often, and it's cool to see people's reactions when they see him in the bowler hat and the shotgun and everything. So maybe that one.
They're getting it, so.
That's very cool.
So Andy, you've been covering entertainment for 8 years now. What's something positive you've seen come from the geek and nerdy properties that are dominating the marketplace?
That's a very good question. I mean, I think the beauty of it is, you know, the online side of it, in terms of how it brings people together. Because most of my friends that I know are on the internet, and that's thanks to, you know, all these entertainment things, whether it's movies or comics or TV shows. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. Like, I mean, of course, it's great to see all these things coming to life and you're getting to cover them and so on. But I think it's more special to actually have people that you love that you can share with. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, at least from my perspective, that when you can enjoy it together as a community, or as, you know, as a gang, or what you want, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, it's me. Okay, so at Comic-Con, there's panels. You were wanting to host one at Phoenix Comic-Con. Andy, have you been on any panels yet?
No, I'm not. Like Odin said before once. I'm not worthy. I mean, I would love to if I ever get a chance, but I leave it to the talented panelists out in the world to do it. But you know, I would love to do it because you know, just to kind of see how it is. But no, sadly, so far I haven't. I would love to try and moderate a panel maybe one day. Like, you know, if it was like a flash panel or something, I would be like, oh, I'm so game. Because all I would probably ask about is just like West Island, even though it's, you know, there's so much more than the Iris relationship. But yeah, I hopefully one day.
All right. Sean, since you have been on some panels now, was that just an extension of the cosplaying? Was it just like the next thing to do, or was there a conscious decision for a reason to get into doing panels or being on panels?
I think the first panel that we were ever on was at Long Beach Comic-Con maybe 3 years ago, and it was Gavin on a panel. I just sat up there with him because it was a kids cosplaying panel, and he was asked by a friend of ours if he wanted to be on it, and at the time he was a little too rambunctious to sit up there by himself. So I sat up there with him, and yeah, I talked a little bit, but it was more about him and the other kids on the panel. And I love doing them. I've done a lot of panels with and without Gavin on cosplaying and charitable cosplay and kids cosplaying with their parents. And then I've moderated a couple of panels. The only ones I've moderated are the visual effects of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I know those guys pretty well. So I moderated that at LA Comic-Con and at WonderCon.
Real quick on the charitable thing you mentioned. So you guys go out and do basically appearances in character at hospitals and other things. How's that work? I mean, how's that work? I mean, do you guys just like team up with a local institution? Yeah, I know you have a group for that. So you guys just kind of seek them out, or do they come and find you?
It's both. I'm actually part of, I think, 5 different groups now. That I've joined within the last couple of years. You know, the great thing about living in Southern California is there are so many cosplayers. There are so many conventions that you can cosplay at. And I think that is a factor in the number of charitable groups that exist. And, you know, the number of groups I'm in is there's just a lot of cosplayers. And thanks to the number of conventions and social media, you know, it's not like we just have one con a year and that's the only time we see each other. You know, we see each other. There's practically a con of some kind every month where you run into people, you know, and then you stay in touch on social media. But of the groups I'm in, some are more established than others. A lot of these events that we do are annual events. So if your group goes in one time and does a good job, you probably get invited back next year. And then it turns into an annual thing. So one of the groups I'm in is Star Wars focused. One is an Avengers group that's Marvel focused. And then the other ones are more general, where you can kind of do anything, you know, costume wise.
Cool. All right. So we have a couple of questions from people in the audience. Andy Wagner asks, Sean, do you make all your own cosplays, and how much does the average cosplayer cost you to make?
Well, it depends on what it is. I can hardly sew, so if there's any kind of clothing involved, yeah, I don't sew Captain America suits or anything like that. I am getting pretty decent at working with armor, with foam and Sintra. So some of my costumes, like my Mandalorian Captain America mashup, again, that's why that's the one I'm most proud of, is because I made the whole character and made most of the stuff, most of the costume myself. how much does the average costume cost? It's a huge, wide range, depending on the costume, the character, how accurate you want to be, what kind of materials you want to use. You know, a Mandalorian, the thing I like about a Mandalorian costume is, number one, you can do your own thing with it, unless you want to be Boba Fett or Jango Fett or Sabine. So I actually have 3 of those, and for that, all you have to do is buy a helmet and a jumpsuit, and then, you know, some Sintra, make some plates for armor, and glue Velcro on and stick it on with Velcro. So it's actually, like, once you have the jumpsuit and the helmet, you can make different sets of armor that look different, or different colors, or different, you know, different looks, whatever. You know, if you're going to go for Captain America, you know, you're going to spend at least $500, upwards of 2,000, depending on the suit that you get, the shield that you get, how accurate. If you want to buy the same boots that he wore in the Winter Soldier, those boots are like $200. So personally, I have a pair of black workman boots from Walmart that were $30, and they weren't good enough for me. So
Yeah, I would probably stick with the cardboard shield and my hoodie that has the Captain America hood, and I'm done.
I'm still waiting for the day when Sean will show up at a con as something from the Flash, because I'm like, come on, I mean, you had Gavin do the whole like Flash intro at Paley Fest. Like, at some point, you guys gotta, you know, he can come as Kid Flash, you can come as like Jay Garrick or the Barry Allen Flash.
we get asked that a lot. One of the most common questions we get asked together is, are we ever going to do a DC costume? You know, the 2 of us. And I still contend that Gavin being Batman and me being Robin would be the best option for that. So
That's cool. You if you do the Flash, you definitely need to do the Jay Garrick one with the comic book version, so you can just basically wear a bowl on your head.
that works.
Because that one will be cheap.
Yep.
Bowl upside down, done.
And I will try out cosplay as Vibe. I get jealous when Sean, like, when I see all his costumes in the back, I'm like, you know, man, in 2012 I did cosplay 1 year as Clark Kent from Smallville. That was pretty much it. And now I kind of like miss actually being able to do it. So
You're working during the con a lot, though, right? So,
yeah, exactly. So it's like I mean, I could casually like dress up as Clark, like, you know, just like from the, like, when he was wearing the red jacket and the blue t-shirt and so on, like that. Like, I could do that, but at the same time, because people know how much I love Smallville, it would be too obvious that I'm like, okay, I really don't want you guys to point out. So and also they're all so hot. So like, I try not to wear any jackets or hoodies like while I'm in San Diego, because the weather is like, it is hot, really hot.
That's actually really funny that you said that, because our other reader question was from Mr. Applesauce 72, and they asked, how do you cool yourself off in heavy cosplay outfits?
Lots of water. Lots and lots of water and Gatorade. And I mean, you know, we're lucky, again, living in San Diego. A good chunk of the year, it's not really that hot. San Diego is, because our weather is so moderate. You know, these convention centers aren't very well air conditioned. Like, I've told people before, last year at Phoenix Comic-Con, it was 117 degrees on Saturday, and it was cooler in that convention center than it's ever been in San Diego in the exhibit hall, just because we don't have the equipment here to air condition our convention centers. So, I mean, like, I have a Chewbacca costume that is absolute death if it's over about 80 degrees outside. I mean, just the second you put it on, you're just dying. So I just don't wear that when it's that warm outside. You know, I'll wear it if it's an indoor event and I'm not in the sun. You know, fortunately, I have enough costumes where I can kind of plan around the weather. You know, having anything on your head, like, again, Captain America is my main costume. Wearing a helmet versus not wearing a helmet makes a huge difference, because that heat can't escape from the top of your head like it normally does. But yeah, definitely, if I know I'm going to be in a costume, I'm going to be sweating a lot, I drink plenty of water or Gatorade beforehand, and then I try to drink more. Usually, I don't eat much at cons, which I guess isn't that great, but I drink a lot. I drink a lot of water and Gatorade. So
I'm actually the same way. Like, I like never eat at conventions, but I'm like chugging bottles of water. So I understand.
I mean, it's expensive and it's a hassle. You know, everything else notwithstanding. I mean, it's, you know, I don't have time for that. I'm at the con. You know.
That's right. Exactly. So before we let you guys go, I actually want to ask real quick, even though we're pretty early, what is the #1 thing that you're hoping is at the convention this year?
Oh boy. Well, here's the thing for me, big Marvel fan, always get in Hall H on Saturday. You know, for me, the biggest thing for San Diego, there's so much that's unique about San Diego Comic-Con that you don't get anywhere else, but the most biggest unique thing at San Diego is Hall H. So I'm always in there on Saturday. You know, Saturday is always amazing throughout, you know, DC, Fox, Warner Brothers, whoever. But number one at the top of my list, of course, is Marvel. And with D23 being the weekend before Comic-Con, I was pretty sure that we weren't going to get Marvel Studios at all. So I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that we're getting Marvel Studios.
And that they announced so early.
But the question is, what are we getting in Hall H from Marvel Studios? Are we going to get Infinity War? Are we only going to get like Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Thor Ragnarok, and they're going to do Infinity War at D23? It's hard to imagine they would do Infinity War at both. So I'm just not sure. So my biggest hope for San Diego Comic-Con 2017 is that Infinity War is in the Marvel Studios presentation in Hall H.
I think that's perfectly understandable. What about you, Andy?
Oh God, I mean, everything I always want to be there, it always end up being there. You know, all the returning DC shows, Marvel shows. I mean, there's gonna. It's so funny because we're getting 10 new comic book shows in the next TV season, like with Black Lightning, Krypton, and Cloak and Dagger, Runaways. I hope all of them will be there. I would love it for there to be an Inhumans panel that also has a screening of the first episode, but I know they won't because they're doing the September IMAX screening in theaters. So, but I'm just so ready for all these shows. So, because I don't usually because I do press rooms on Saturdays, I don't get to really line up for Hall H and so on. But like at the same time, I love TV more a little bit, to be honest. So it's fine by me. Yeah, I don't know at this point because I expect everything that I want there to be there. But you know. I mean, I would be disappointed if the new comic book shows if most of them are not going to be there, which would be weird marketing. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't know at this point. But because I always expect the things I want there to be there. So yeah, so it's just the new comic book shows for me.
Well, very cool. Well, before you go, Annie and Sean, where can our viewers find more of you on the internet?
Sean, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Well, on Twitter, my handle on Twitter is COF or you can just look me up by Sean Richter. Gavin has about 300 more followers than me, is way better looking and way cooler. So follow him at Kid Colston on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram.
And people can find me on my public Facebook pages, Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram page at Andy Babak. Then they can find links to my work at Heroic Hollywood, all the things I do in the Flash podcast, and the Mall Report, and the DC Podcast Network. So yeah, it's all like in my bio, instead of me just saying, go to this website, and this website, and this website.
Right, it's the Marvel Report, right?
The Marvel. There's, we're the one and only. Like, there's no other place to go for Marvel stuff except for Marvel.com. Disney, please don't sue us.
That's funny. Well, thank you both very much for joining us tonight. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you in San Diego here in just a few weeks. We're not too far away now.
Yep, right around the corner. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Thanks, guys.
Right, bye, guys. Well, during that interview, we unfortunately lost Robert, but he's trying to come back.
And
So
we are going to get into the news next.
yes.
I keep clicking on the hang up button. It's frozen. I can stay if you need.
That's
me.
okay. You can stick around.
Yeah, you're welcome to stick around.
Yeah.
So let's start by talking about offsites, and maybe you don't know some of this stuff. Andy, we'll teach you.
No, I'm each year I feel like I'm always missing the offsite. So yeah, like the more I learn about it, the better.
All right. Well, the first thing that we know is that Razer, which is a laptop company, which is I'd never heard of, but I learned something this week. They are they're going to be at the Petco Interactive Zone, which is back, which super excited about that because I know there was a little bit of question with some of the construction and all that's been going on over there. But the Petco Interactive Zone is back, and Razer is going to be bringing basically an offsite over there where you can do things like you can compose your own electronic music tracks with their software and their computers. You can, like, on the computers, you can build these custom racing pods. Like, it sounds kind of cool. So, but the main thing about that, in my opinion, is mostly just that Petco Interactive 7 is back.
Yeah. And they're going to be giving a prize pack out during the con. So
Yes.
if you go over there and go to the Petco, you can stop by there and do some demos and enter to win something.
Oh, Razor, that brings me back to my high school years when I used to be a huge gamer. I used to have like the mouse and the keyboard with Razor on that. Yeah, they died after just like 1 year, so that was money wasted. But no hard feelings, I promise.
Right. Yeah. No, that's definitely a gamer thing. So also, offsites was. Go ahead, Carrie.
I was just gonna ask, do you want me to talk about these?
No, I'll do them.
Okay.
So there's Pirate Con and the Marked Men party. Tickets went on sale today, actually. The San Diego Library is bringing back their annual comic conference for educators and librarians. And if I remember correctly, you have to be a librarian to attend that.
You don't, actually.
don't?
Anyone can register. It's free to attend, but you do have to register and sign up.
Okay.
And you don't need a badge to go either. So if you're interested, I mean, the panels are geared towards educators and librarians, but anyone can go. So if you don't have a badge and you're a teacher or you're a librarian and you're looking for something cool to do, definitely check that out. It's a really cool thing that they do, and they partner with Comic-Con kind of to help put that on. And then in other offsite news, I actually wanted to point out something really interesting. And actually, let's mention this. So badges have started to go out. A lot of people have started to receive them. And if you haven't gotten your badge yet, or the email that your badge is going out, please don't panic. I've seen so many people so worried, like, oh my God, somebody got their badge and I don't even have an email yet. Last year, it took them about 3 weeks to mail everybody's badges out. So it's not just like everybody's badges go out on the same day. Like, it's a very slow process. So don't panic. But the cool thing is this year, instead of just mailing you your badge in a plain white envelope, they're mailing out these boxes that also include a commemorative pen that say like CCI 2017. And they're going to start doing these every year, I guess. It also includes like a nice little booklet with some information. Like, it's a really nice presentation. And nobody had any idea that they were going to do this. So kudos to CCI for putting this out. I'm excited to get mine. Oh, and before I talk about this, the other thing I wanted to mention was that when you get your badge, please, please, please do not post a photo on social media of your badge if it includes your name. And we're not saying that like for the reason most people think we are. Basically, last year, a lot of people posted photos of their badges with a name on it on social media, and then some terrible person took one of those photos from this random guy, put it up on eBay to sell a badge totally unrelated to the guy whose photo it was. Comic-Con International found the listing and banned the guy whose photo he used.
Oh man, that's horrible.
It is horrible.
Oh my God, did he get like banned from Comic-Con for life or something, or was it just like, oh,
he lost his pro status? So
yikes.
yeah. And I mean, I understand both sides, but this is why we're like heavily cautioning people. If you see somebody who posts a photo with their badge name on it, like, please inform them, like, hey, just blur it out, crop it out, do whatever you need to. Like, we know you're excited, but please,
That's why I
don't post
yeah.
your name.
Any
always
barcodes as well.
That's
Yeah,
why I always
so
tend
no
to
barcodes or
block
anything.
my badge like this. Like when I take a selfie of myself, like I always try to like, here's what the name would be. So I always try to cover it, so I'd be like, hey, you see the press stuff, but you can't really see the name or anything. So
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. Like, people, and I've been very pleased that, like, I feel like people have actually listened to this, because I've seen a lot of like creatively placed badges and boxes to where it's covering it up. So good job. But
Yeah.
where I was going with all of this several minutes ago was included in all of that really cool stuff is they sent out this little booklet that has a lot of really good information that's weirdly not on Comic-Con site. Like they went ahead and they posted the programming cover before they announced that today. They posted the shuttle schedule. And they also included some information about some offsites. As we talked about last week, the Nintendo Lounge is definitely coming back. But as we also hinted at last week, if you'll notice on that list, the Xbox Lounge is not listed. And the Xbox Lounge has been there just about every year. Everything that I have heard says that the Xbox Lounge is definitely not coming back this year, but they will have a booth. So to me, the fact that it's not on that list pretty heavily says that's probably true. The
And
other
there's something new, right?
There is something new. The other cool thing was on the Omni, it listed that on the 4th floor, they're going to have some kind of VR lounge. Now, I don't have any more details beyond there will be a VR lounge at the Omni, but that's definitely new. And they're also going to have a screening room, which is apparently different from both the film festival and the playback room. So I'm not really sure what the screening room is either, but both of those things will be at the Omni, which I feel like both of those are definitely new.
Hey,
So-
Robert came back.
Yay.
Hey, Robert,
Hey, I made it back.
you made it back just in time to talk about
Yeah.
exclusives.
All right.
Might the screening and the VR thing maybe might it be connected for some way? Maybe what if it's like the same? Like I know Power Rangers, they used to do like a VR thing, like not at Comic, but at some event this year. So I'm almost wondering like what if the studio who is actually like purposely their screening connected to some sort of VR?
I mean, it might be, and it's
think-
entirely possible.
I think the playback room was in the Omni last year, wasn't it? Or 2
But
years ago?
if you look like at the list, like they very specifically say like playback room is somewhere else. Like let me
Okay.
go look at this thing.
Interesting. So screening room does make it sound
Like it's different,
something new.
which is mostly why I was confused.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
Robert,
so the playback room and the film festival are both at the Marriott Marquis. So then what the heck is the screening room or the screening theater? I don't know.
we'll find out.
That's right.
All right, Robert, why don't you get us into the exclusives, because we had quite a few announced this week, actually.
All right, so we're going to start with Entertainment Earth. And they announced today, actually, the Star Trek The Next Generation USS Enterprise monitor mate for $11.99. So it's already a great value. So it's a bobble ship pretty much. It's like, take bobblehead, replace the head with the ship, and
That's right. And
it
it
comes
makes
back-
more sense than the bubble Twin Peaks side.
yeah, much more sense actually. So I don't see if it's there's a limited number to them, but everyone does come packaged with a Next Generation themed blister card. So arm those phasers and photon torpedoes and order yours now.
That was good. Also today, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then I don't think this was announced the last time we did the podcast, but the Deadpool wood plush puppet also from Entertainment Earth. And just in case you don't know, they're going to be at booth 2343. I think that's their normal spot. So it's a 5-inch scale floppy wooden puppet that collapses, moves, and stands up again when you push the hidden button on the bottom of the base. Only 492 figures are produced of the Deadpool wood push puppet. So get yours. Everyone loves Deadpool. Add it to your collection.
There you go. Well, also announced today was Mezco's annual Living Dead doll, which these things, they always kind of creep me out. I'm not going to lie. But this year's, they're supposed to be creepy, so I guess they're doing their job. This year, they're doing a classic Harley Quinn unmasked. She's 10 inches tall. She looks very demented, and she's $55. And you can pick her up on site, or you can pre-order it now for $55 and have it shipped to you after the convention. So it's not exactly a Comic-Con exclusive, but that's what they call it. So that's what we're going to call it.
Oh, your mic, Robert.
Robert, you're muted.
I was just such in a rush to talk about this next one. I forgot to unmute myself. No, this one actually is pretty cool. So Cryptozoic announced, I believe yesterday, their Joker calling card statue, their Bloody Noir edition. So it's a 7-inch polyresin statue featuring the villain's iconic love hand splatter with blood, and comes with 4 interchangeable Joker cards as well as an exclusive variant, exclusive promo card. So just keep in mind, there's a couple things to this one. There's only 200 of these. They come with a certificate of authenticity, and it's going to retail for $100. The nice thing is Cryptozoic is opening up pre-orders for these to pick up on site on June 6th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if this, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but this looks really awesome. But also they're going to be keeping a few to sell on site during San Diego as well. So.
All right, and then I think probably the biggest one of the week was the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collector's case set. Last year they did those 2 different arcade sets, and this year they're doing classic Turtles, it looks like. 8 figures, all 4 Turtles, Shredder, Krang, and 2 Foot Soldiers, with a bunch of accessories, weapons, hands, pizza, and a really cool retro carrying case. And these figures look really, really good. But they are also, because they're limited runs, they are priced accordingly. So they're $200 for the entire set, which is basically what they were last year for the 2 separate sets. They were $100 each for 4 figures each. So it's right in line with last year. But if you want to take a look at these, and you're a Turtle fan, I think you're going to really like these. So,
have you seen these yet, Andy?
No, I am. The only thing I've been looking out for this year is because as a WonderCon, I finally lost my Funko virginity. So like now I'm just focusing on Funkos, and my first 2 ones I got was the 2 Black Bolt ones, the white one and the silver one. And so now I'm just hoping that this year they actually do some new DC TV ones, particularly a new one for Flash with his actual white and gold logo. And I'm just saying Warner Brothers, but like a Black Siren Funko would be kind of dope. But I'm just putting it out there. But just make it happen. I don't think this is gonna end well for me at all. With the more Funkos I started collecting, at some point I'm gonna have to build like a shelf somewhere in here. So, but I did see something about the Turtles like the other day, and I love the Turtles since I was a kid. But yeah, I think my addiction to Funkos are like beginning. So like every time I see something about Funko, I'm like, it's Game of Thrones? Is it? No, it's Doctor Who. Whatever.
Good luck with that.
It's a slippery slope. It really is.
And I don't even open them. That's the thing. I just now I'm like, I got the hard case. I'm like, but
you just want to look at them.
Yeah, like every time my mom picks it up, I'm like, don't put it in your hand. Put it down. Watch. Do not touch.
Well, the good news is Funko is supposed to start announcing their Comic-Con exclusives on Monday. So.
Wow. Okay, then.
It's that time of year already.
I say it just came up quick. I was like, Funko's later.
Nope.
Later. And it's like, nope,
Monday.
next week. Jeez.
So. All right. What else do we got, Robert?
So next up we have Factory Entertainment. The first one was announced just a few days ago. It's a Black Panther metal miniature. It's a small-scaled solid metal collectible, highly detailed. Only limited to 500 pieces, and it'll be retailing for $40. You can pick it up at the Factory Entertainment booth at 2647, or you can have it shipped to you after the con. So that's a nice feature that they're offering.
Or you can win one on our site.
Yes. Then the next one is just announced yesterday is the Flash Star Labs retractable ID badge set. So in case you want to show, everyone that you're a big fan of Barry Allen or Caitlin Snow or I believe the other ones are Cisco and Harrison Wells. And these are a set of 1,000, only retailing for $15. They came with the retractable lanyard as well. So, and you can also win one of those on our site, sdccblog.com.
We also had a couple of exclusives from Mobius Models, and they always do some really cool stuff. So one of the things that they're doing this year is a 1/10 scale styrene kit of Death Dealer, which is based on the Fairness by the painting by Frank Frazetta. Did I say that right, James? You're muted, so you're nodding. All right.
Yes.
Great. It also includes a signature sleeve, which is actually signed by Frazetta's son. That's pretty cool. It'll retail for $70. They also have a Batman versus Superman Batwing 1/25th scale model. This one actually does come fully assembled and fully painted, so you don't have to put it together, which is nice. It's 17 inches long and 17 inches wide, so it's fairly large. And it comes with some really cool packaging. It comes with a really cool collectible bag. Really neat. That one retails for $150. And they're also doing a 2001 A Space Odyssey HAL 9000 lapel pin that looks just like HAL's 9000. It's pretty cool. That one retails for only $8. So all of those will be at the convention at booth number 2946, and you can find all of that on our site. And they'll also have another exclusive or two to announce later this year. So I believe that does it for exclusives, but I think we had a couple of reader questions that maybe we want to get to.
From Raisin19, I collected My Little Pony. When does Hasbro typically release what MLP they'll be selling at Comic-Con? Basically, at any point. Hasbro really doesn't have a schedule. Stuff gets released early sometimes. Sometimes they don't release it like last year until the convention starts.
I was literally on the plane Wednesday morning to Comic-Con, frantically trying to write up that like last Star Wars exclusive that they announced, and so angry that they did it that late.
I'm you that you can type on, that you can type like you were using the WordPress app on your phone to write.
Yes, and like struggling so hard. Like, come on.
Yeah, I need to practice on that because like my hands get so sweaty like easily. So like when I try to type, I'm like, no, not wwf2e.com or whatever. It's like
It's hard on your phones, kids.
Yeah.
Reporting is hard on your phones.
That's why Twitter's so good. Type in a couple of things, put it, emoji, GIF, done. Move on.
You'll notice we don't post a whole lot or anything during the convention for a reason.
Yeah. So another question from Vince Lim was, why do badges ship to Detroit if they ship from San Diego and I live in San Francisco? Carrie, why don't you handle that one?
So
what was the question?
Okay, so people have been really confused because as they're getting their like, hey, your badge shipped email, it'll say like your badge shipped from San Diego, and then the next update will be like your badge is currently in Detroit heading to San Diego to you, and it's just like, how does that make sense? So basically what we think is that the shipping label was created in San Diego, but just like last year, they're shipping from Michigan or wherever up in the general Northeast region.
Yeah, so someone's sitting at a computer using a login that's in San Diego to generate all the shipping.
But they're not actually shipping from San Diego.
No.
So, yeah.
And last year was from North Carolina, right? Something like that?
Something like that. Somewhere in the general north.
Not San Diego.
Not San Diego. Not California.
So Stephanie L asks, when should people expect to hear from the Funko Fun Days waitlist? At any point. They kind of release them a little bit at a time as tickets may get canceled or they find someone who bought multiples somehow. Basically, I know that people started receiving waitlist emails. I think they've already started sending some out. But last year they sent them like a week or two after the sale. And some people mentioned that they got in as late as a week or so before the convention started. Yep. So it's an ongoing process as tickets come and go.
Yeah. Do you do any offsites, Sandy?
No, I tend to do so many press rooms, and then I have to like sometimes like go back to like a hotel or wherever to upload like stuff, or I go back to the convention center, or I go to see friends. But like this year, I definitely I always try to spice it up each year when I go to Comic-Con. So but I mean, now that my Funko addiction is like coming, before I will, soon I will have a Funko strap bag or everything. Like I'm probably gonna be like just following people. Like, did you get a ticket? Like, could you get me this? Like, I'm gonna sound like a freaking junkie. I'm like, hey, you got more of those Funko tickets because I gotta get some of that, insert Dream Funkos. But I'm gonna try to do more different things. That's one of the greatest things about Comic-Con is that each year, like even though like the most stuff that you keep waiting for keep coming back, there's always new stuff to try out, and there's always like time to test all of them.
That's absolutely right. So, in the wonderful world of panels, panel confirmations went out at long last, which is awesome. And behind the scenes, we've started compiling our annual list of announced panels, and we'll be sharing that publicly here in the next week or so. It's been a bit quiet so far with panel announcements and confirmations and all that, but we do this every year with this list of announced panels, and every single year, like the day before the official schedule comes out, we always have 200 to 300 announced panels. So announcements will be coming. It just takes a little while for everybody to kind of like confirm and make sure they have all their panelists in a row. So there's going to be a ton of awesome stuff at Comic-Con this year. We're all super excited. And in fact, we also just did our annual look at what movies we think might be at the convention. And you can find that on our site. And we're going to talk a lot more about that with Jermaine Lucier of IO9 here in a couple weeks. But I feel like this could be a huge year for movies.
Yeah,
Don't
it
you,
seems
James?
like there's way more movies than the last couple of years that are all kind of stacked up at the right time. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a big year.
Fingers securely crossed, but I agree. I think it has the potential to be huge in a way that maybe the last couple of years haven't. Remaining hotels are also on sale and have been for a while. So if you don't have a hotel room, make sure you check. And sometimes you get really lucky. Like, in fact, someone got the Hyatt today or yesterday. Like they just happened to check it at the right time and they got the Hyatt. Like, that's pretty awesome luck. So
there was probably some dancing around the room after hitting purchase. Like,
yeah,
yes, downtown hotel.
More than dancing.
Yes.
There's
yes,
like
exactly.
there's loud like screams like yeah whatever. That's what happened when I got my the hotel, one of the hosts that I was wanting. So
Well, and I feel like it's even it's a way bigger deal now that we're, this far into the sale. Like at this point, you're probably sitting there going like, oh, I didn't get anything. I'm going to be sleeping on the sidewalk. I'll just go look at this list. Oh my God, I have the Manchester Grand Hyatt. So
Yeah.
you guys have all your hotels set?
Yes. Yeah. We most of us got either first choice or at least top 6 choice.
But
So-
we're, just to clarify that, we're spread out all over. So for some of us, our first choice is Mission Valley. Like, it's not like we're all living the high life over at the Bayfront.
El Cajon, La Mesa. First choice, 20 minutes away.
Yes. So
Yeah. I think we're kind of split evenly between downtown and elsewhere on the blog. So it's a lot easier to say we all got near our first choice when not everyone's trying for downtown.
yes, it is. And that's the major pitfall of this hotel sale is
Also, we really don't like each other, so none of us want to stay in the same hotel.
no.
Not even in the same,
absolutely
not just the same room. We don't even want to stay in the same hotel.
Yeah, I don't want to risk bumping into him in the hall.
Hashtag awkward.
All right.
All right. So also parking is still on sale. I think it's in group 5, and there's only one more group left next week, and then the public on sale for everything else will be on June 12th. Every Monday, a new group goes up, and there is still stuff left. I mean, it's getting a little further away. The convention center sold out, and I'm pretty sure the Bayfront is as well. But you can still park down there. There's still parking available.
Also, we are partnering with Uber and Uber Eats again this year, so they're going to be bringing you discounts around the convention center. So use code SDCCUblog on Uber for $20 off your first ride, or Eats Ublog 17 for $10 off your first order on Uber Eats. And I know Carrie is a huge fan of Ubering around San Diego.
It saved my feet in a way that
I'm telling you.
I could walk after Comic-Con last year. I was like, this is new.
And with the humidity last year, it was like
Oh my
crazy.
God.
I mean, like 6 blocks, Uber. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I was like, you know what? I'm at the Omni. I need to go to the Manchester Grand Hyatt. Let's take an Uber.
And the thing is, because of the way, they obviously have to shut down some streets, you're making like a 1.5 mile, 2-mile round trip around San Diego to come back and around to the Hyatt.
But I was sitting in an air-conditioned car, so it
Right.
was fine. It was great.
That's the most important part.
It really is. And for like $5 a ride, like I'll pay $5 to save my feet all day long. So
We're already spending $2,000 on hotels and tickets.
Yeah.
And stuff. That's another $5.
really,
Exactly.
You make it doesn't sound so little. It's just 2,000. I'm like, oh God, if I had that money.
you could if you stopped going to Comic-Con.
But
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the thing, because we go, we save at least $200. So I'm like, that's good. But then it's like all the rest, like hotel, and then food, and
Toys.
Oh my God, I'm gonna live on the street after Comic-Con. Like, I'm gonna be sitting with my Funkos. Like, I'm gonna be the crazy Funko guy. Like, instead of having cats, I'm gonna have Funkos.
Oh no!
You won't be alone. There's
No.
a ton. There's plenty. They sell out
Yes.
an entire convention center ballroom for people who are Funko collectors. So I think you're not alone in that.
There are plenty of your kind at Comic-Con. One thing that we started this week, which I'm pretty excited about, is we're going to be doing a new segment called Attendee of the Week. And I've been wanting to do this for years, but I just have no time. So we're finally going to do this. And basically each week leading up to the convention, we want to feature one of our readers. And so what we're asking you guys to do is we have a special email set up, and you can email us in with your name, a photo of either you or something cool that you've done around the convention, some answers to some simple questions like what was your favorite panel and why, what's your favorite convention snack, and each week we're going to select our favorite and feature that one as our attendee of the week. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about that. We also have a contest that we launched today where you can win a pair of tickets to Heroes Brewfest, which is I believe it's, what day of the week is that?
Isn't it the Wednesday of the con?
Is it?
Is it preview night this year? I feel like it is, but.
You're thinking of HopCon.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure Heroes Brewfest is on
There's beer.
Saturday. I'm pretty sure
All I
it's
know is
Saturday.
beer.
Yes. So we're going to call it Saturday, and if I'm wrong, I deeply apologize. But basically, yeah. But basically, it's a really cool thing. They do it out at Waterfront Park. They have beer. Kristen Nair, who's Hodor on Game of Thrones, he's going to be doing his Rave of Thrones all of that afternoon. So Lord Mace is going to be there doing art. It'll be really cool. So we're giving away a pair of tickets to that. And I also realized we have been remiss not to mention our own reader party and prize mule on the last few podcasts. So we're going to fix that.
Because we're so mad. We are so mad that we forgot. Because it is Too Blog, Too Furious.
Or Too Furious to Blog.
I like that one better. I'm still gonna hashtag that now.
But that
Now,
is
are we doing
Wednesday.
the number two? Are we doing the number two or the word?
We have to do it like the movie.
The number two.
Oh, no.
Because
Number
Too
two.
Fast, Too Furious So we're too blog, too furious.
Could you
but-
imagine Vin Diesel's character? Like, I mean, I don't watch the Fast and Furious movie, but could you imagine Vin Diesel like blogging, like in
I
a
think
car?
That sounds amazing.
How many
actually.
keyboards would he have to have stacked up waiting to be used as he smashes them like daily? Getting angry at something and like wringing its neck.
Ooh,
You
I
have to have
smell-
some kind
I
of
smell-
action, right? It's
I
gotta be
s-
an
I
action
smell-
blogging movie.
I smell a multiverse spin-off idea on a different universe.
And he can no longer drive. He blogs.
No. Here's a twist. He drives, but like, okay, so like he has this keyboard, like like on planes where you can like fold down your screen that you get. Like he can just like fold up his keyboard and like have like a hologram. Like his windshield could be the computer, like almost like Batman style.
You guys laugh, but this is going to be the actual plot to Fast and the Furious 15.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We're breaking all sort of NDAs right now from Paramount, so it's just
That's
like
right. That's right. So our reader meetup to blog Too Furious is going to be on Wednesday, July 19th at McFadden's in the Gaslamp from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's free to attend. You don't need a ticket. You don't need a badge. You basically are just going to show up and have fun. It's going to be really informal, just a quick little hangout. So stop by whenever you can on Wednesday night, meet us, meet some readers, hang out. McFadden's serves drinks and food. So that's awesome.
But what about the free stuff? What about the giveaways?
The giveaways. So we might have a button or two at our reader party, but for the most part, our giveaways are going to be with Prize Mule, which I think most of you know what Prize Mule is, but if not, it's basically our social media scavenger hunt where we post photos of our unicorn Prize Mule all around, and the first person who finds them, yep, there's Rosie.
Oh,
you
you've
go.
given a name. Okay.
Yes. Oh yeah, they all have names. Yeah.
Yes,
This
they
is-
all
I don't
have
see-
names.
I don't see it as a
Yeah.
Rosie though. I see it as a Donna.
But actually, the full name, there's a much longer full name, and it's actually Rosa Corn. So
Oh,
Rosie's short for Rosa Corn. So
that's good.
Rosie Corn. Yeah, we have a very long name. Don't worry about it.
I almost thought he was gonna say Rosie O'Connell or something like that, just to be like,
No, it has to be weird.
Well, that
What's
is-
yours named, Robert? What's yours named?
My name is Goku, after the title character Goku from Dragon Ball.
You mean the one
Not
that's
too weird.
You mean the one that Superman can beat?
Well, that's up for debate, but
No. This guy wouldn't. I can't even see why. This guy wouldn't agree.
Raise
I
the
guess there's only
19
one way to find out.
Anytime someone mentions Goku, like if I want, like anyone I talk to, I will say, oh yeah, you mean that poser that Superman can just kick down, like with just one finger.
So
I don't know what
back
to
to
say.
Prize Mule.
I made it weird. I'm sorry.
That's fine. So with Prize Mule, we're going to be giving away all kinds of really cool stuff. And I actually wanted to announce some of the companies right now, and we've got a whole bunch more coming. But as I think most of you know, we have the golden ticket, the Hasbro Fast Pass, which gets you to the front of the Hasbro line. You don't have to camp out for 2 days straight. You can just skip everybody and go up there and get what you want. So we've got that. We've also got some really cool prizes from Toddland, Factory Entertainment, NinjaBot, Viz Media, UCC Distributing, BBC America, Diamond Select Toys, Cryptozoic, and this is basically just round one of our prize giveaway sponsors. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And real quick, 2 quick questions that we had about Prize Mill in the chat. Iron Souls asked, no t-shirts for sale this year. We're not selling t-shirts, but we are actually going to have a couple of Prize Mule shirts that we'll be giving away as prizes throughout the convention. And they look pretty darn cool.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other question was, will Gary from Reza, will Gary be giving stuff away?
Gary will absolutely.
I hate Gary.
Yeah. Gary, it'll depend on his mood. You
If he's
can never
not-
tell with Gary.
If he's not actively trying to take over the world, he may deign you worthy to receive a prize. So we don't know.
To be determined, but like I said, we've got a whole bunch of really awesome stuff. We're really excited, and like I said, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're gonna have a whole bunch of prizes from other companies that we have yet to reveal that we're still talking to. So if you only came to our party to get stuff, quite frankly, don't worry, we're still going to be giving you guys a ton of stuff all over the convention
Yes.
all week.
And of course we will have the usual like buttons and all that, right?
Yes, buttons,
Not just at the party.
buttons, sunglasses, lanyards. We're gonna have it all. So
Um,
But I think the best
So I
part
wanted
is
to
obviously
mention-
getting to hang out with you guys. So I'm just saying.
obviously,
We're
we're
everywhere.
the
Obviously.
ultimate prize. I mean,
Yeah.
Sir Lister's Meg asked a question, which I don't think we have time to answer right now, which is, do you think going online lotteries for everything, panels, exclusive, etc., before the con, so you know what you're getting into? Save that question for next week, and we'll answer that one next week, because we're reaching the end of the show now. I think we can talk for a while about that.
however, I do want to point out that their next comment was the prize is getting to meet Gary.
You think so now? Wait till you meet him.
That's funny. All right. So as we mentioned earlier, we've got a couple giveaways on our site. We're giving away 2 tickets to Heroes Brewfest. We've also got those factory entertainment giveaways that we're doing. You can find all of that on our site. We have some awesome special guests lined up for the podcast all season, including in the next few weeks. We're going to have Jermaine Lucier of IO9, Eric Goldman of IGN, as well as a whole bunch of other really awesome people that I'm very excited about. You can sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the show notes, and I swear we're going to start actually sending that out next week. I really do. Robert?
As always, our Under the Tents column, it's back. We're still at 1 a day, but I'm pretty sure we are close to doing it twice a day now. That news is coming in hot and heavy, so look for it. Look for Under the Tents on the SDCC blog.
Yep. And okay, so thank you all for joining us. We had a great night talking to Andy and Sean of the Marvel Report. Will join us every week. We're going to have news, opinions, special guests. I think in the coming weeks, you mentioned Jermaine and Eric Goldman to
Yep.
talk movies and TV.
Woo,
Robert,
Eric. He's awesome.
you know.
They both are.
Robert, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Legion of Sand and legionofsand.com. Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon, but between now and the convention, you can pretty much just find me on the blog social media. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am everywhere online at Dan Riegel, and you can check out geekshotphoto.com for photography from my wife and I.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SD Concast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening, and everybody, go.
Oh, Shawarma.
Bye.
I have nothing else to say.